locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm the best in the world!
Not even close.
No,
not even close.
I am.
Not even close
Best
to
in the
a
world.
good CM Punk impression, and not even close to being the best in the world.
Do you know what CM Punk
What's the
stands
population of the world? Probably several billion?
Yeah.
Whatever that is, plus one, there's where you are, as
Oh,
far as I'm being
plus one.
great. So it's whatever that number is, and then add one more removed.
for? That's how much of the
And-
best I am?
Yeah, that's as far back as you can
Oh,
go.
wow. You know what CM stands for? We found out during their trial, by the way.
I don't know.
Chick Magnet.
Why haven't I taken that moniker then?
You missed your chance,
I
pal.
did,
He
yeah.
took it, and I think he owns it. So there it is.
Interesting.
You know, this guy has a tattoo of Pepsi
Pepsi logo.
because he's straight edge,
Okay.
and but he drinks a lot of Pepsi.
It's not good for you.
A lot of sugar.
Yeah, I was going to say, it
Yep.
can't be that much healthier in a
Yeah,
way.
well, you know, a cup of coffee or a Pepsi.
Well, I got to
Which one
say,
are you doing?
I bet smoking a joint is much healthier than drinking 25 Pepsis in a day.
You know, speaking of that, you know the marijuana dispensaries in Massachusetts.
Yeah, when are they
retail,
coming around?
The first one should be open up within the next couple of weeks. Actually.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's recreation. You walk in like you're going to the
walk
bakery.
in.
You're going to the bakery.
But-
Why doesn't someone call it the bakery?
They could call it the bakery.
What a great
'Cause they
name.
baked.
What
But
a great name.
What people don't realize, it's not about smoking the nonsense. It's going to be the edibles.
Edibles,
The candy,
your liquids, your various,
all that
vaping.
crap. We're going to have the Walking Dead walking around in this place. I'm telling you.
Good.
They're just going to be all over the place.
Good.
In a zone, okay?
I want to be in the zone.
I don't want to be in the
Away
zone.
from you.
Well, no. You're here.
You know what?
You're
I have
stuck.
an idea.
What's this?
I'm going to you bring in these cockamamie drinks
Yes.
every week.
Yes, I got you a good one today.
Occasionally you bring me one.
Yeah.
Most of the time I ask you for liquor and you won't do it.
Huh.
I'm going to bring an assortment of various hard candies of my own.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll see if I enjoy this show any better. I don't think I will.
Give me a
I don't
break.
want to go to the heavy stuff, which I think it's what I would need. I was thinking like a morphine drip to get through this show. But
You know what I was thinking of too? I'm going to bring in some wonderful pistachios. They just gave me a shout out
What are
on
you, my
Twitter.
nana? Will
they
you
gave
stop-
They gave me a shout out on Twitter. Wonderful pistachios.
Wait, pistachios as a food gave you a shout out on Twitter.
I told these guys, no, the wonderful company. You know what? The elephant. John Cena does the commercials.
No.
Listen,
now that I know
they're
that John
fans
Cena
of the
does the
Duke Loves
commercials,
Wrestling podcast.
I'm not eating those
They're
pistachios.
fans of the podcast. We might do some advertising for these guys if they come with enough pistachios and
A lifetime supply of pistachios.
I could do it.
I'm not a huge fan of pistachios. But do you remember when pistachios were red?
They still sell those.
But you
at
remember
the corner
all
stores
of them
and all
were
that. Yeah,
all
they
of them
red.
were red at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And
They
I
just
saw
put the
that
dye on it.
Well, they do, but that's not a common thing anymore.
No.
And the reason is because where they used to grow them, they would be all discolored just because of the processing. And now that they have fancy robotic processing, they don't get bruised and ugly anymore. So they'll sell you some green pistachios. But the red dye was meant to hide the ugly colored shell of the pistachio.
I didn't know that.
Because most of them are from Iran, I believe.
Interesting.
Iran is still, I think, the biggest exporter of
And
pistachios.
they're delicious pistachios.
And
by the way. Yeah.
and that is your tidbit for today. See, I'm legally obligated on line 35, section 2, paragraph B, that I have to bring something of substance to each episode.
Oh, really?
And that's it. So for the rest of the time, I looked up that factoid. I'm on cruise control.
Well, you don't have any substance anyway, so I'm surprised you did that much. Welcome back to Duke Loves Wrestling, the show about pro wrestling and everything else, including wonderful pistachios. Huh? How about that? I am the Duke. and
Allegedly.
I have my
Allegedly.
Illustrious co-host / producer, knucklehead extraordinaire, the Boston
take
bad
it easy.
boy.
Take it
I'm
easy.
Mike
Don't get me
Pelosi.
started right now. I'm easing into this show. I can't believe I'm going to have to sit here and look at your face for another hour.
Listen, I want to say to Coach Richard Lowe, who was our guest last week,
Genius.
Don't ever come on the show.
I
again,
got to tell that
but you're
guy is a
sitting there
gentleman.
kissing this guy's backside. Oh,
A gentleman
I'm
and a
Boston
scholar.
Bad Boy fan. I love Boston Bad Boy. Coach, get out of here.
You know, I wonder many times how many more people will profess their fandom of me that you delete off of the internet.
I'm getting rid of all of
before I even get to see it.
I'm getting rid of all of them.
You're censoring people, is
Yeah.
what it is, because you can't stand the thought that I am, in fact, more popular.
You know how many
than you
people
will
want
ever
to
be.
beat you up for the way that you talk to me? I got some real.
Who?
A lot of them.
Your own mother likes me more than she likes you.
She doesn't like you. I don't know why you keep saying that. She does not like you.
She's a sweet lady, 100%.
Yeah, she can't stand you, actually. What are the top stories in the world of professional wrestling?
Don't care.
Well, we're going to find out during Run the Ropes. Ross W. Berman IV. This is the guy from Wrestlezone.com that was in the courtroom during the Doc Amann versus CM Punk and Colt Cabana trial. We're going to get the exclusive inside scoop first, folks. Say that 3 times
Will you pull
fast.
it together, please?
Oh, I can't. I'm so excited about this because we're getting it first.
You got a whole week to practice in front of the mirror, and you can't come in here and you can't speak.
This guy
right.
is going to be on other shows, including the Xbox show and what have you, but he's coming to us first. So I can't wait for that.
And you know why?
Why?
Fan of mine.
He doesn't even know you. I don't even know why you say that.
All right, we'll see.
All that plus so much more. But before we get to any of that, Boston bad boy.
What?
My good friend Conrad Thompson. Oh, my goodness.
I think I heard a little bit about what you're going to go into.
He and his co-host, Bruce Prichard, they have Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard. It's a great podcast. They got the new show on the WWE Network of the same name there. They're butting heads with WWE Brass right now. It's kind of terrible. Well, so they made a deal with the network, right? They bring their podcast over, and they were told that they can do their podcast like they normally do, talk about whatever they want to talk about because they're talking about things that have happened in the past in the WWE, ECW, TNA, whatever. You can talk about your stuff.
Pull back the curtain. That's what they do. They
pull
back
the curtain. They give you the inside scoop. Well, they recorded this past weekend for their upcoming episode, which was supposed to air, I believe, on Wednesday, and someone in the WWE told them, we got to edit this. Can't have that, can't have that, can't have that. And Conrad, my good friend, he's a big dude,
Sure.
Conrad's a big country boy, okay? he's Man Mountain. Conrad said, no, you told us that we could do our show. Now you want to edit us. It changes the whole complexity of everything. We're not doing that. No. So now they're at an impasse. The show did not air at the time and date that it was supposed to air.
See what happens when you have a spine? When a guy like Conrad stands up for what he believes, and unlike you, who cowtails to Vince McMahon
I've never
at every turn.
Let
me tell you something.
I've never done that.
Let me tell you something. Vince McMahon could be in here on his hands and knees begging to take this show and put it on the network. I would never, ever allow it.
I would
never give him the satisfaction.
We absolutely will come on the network when you're ready. I know we've talked about that before. We're ready to come on the network whenever you're ready.
Get the hell out of here.
And if you want, you can bounce Conrad and Bruce. We'll take their slot, and then we'll talk about whatever you want us to talk about, the way you want us to talk about it.
You're a company man.
You got to know how to do business.
I'm ready to do business. It's disgusting.
I'm ready to do business.
How about have a spine like Conrad did? How about have a spine?
Big dude.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
I want to see him one day just hit you on the top of the head like a hammer move and just watch you fall. It'll be hysterical.
I think it would take about 4 of me to equal one of him. You know that?
Well, on many levels.
Yeah. But, here's my problem, though. It's the WWE Network. It's their company. They can decide what content
You don't make a bad deal. Well, they told him one thing, and now they're doing something else.
Conrad should have made a bad deal, okay?
No.
He shouldn't be delivering
the right deal.
No, I know they're screwing around. They're screwing around.
Yeah, the WWE is screwing around because they told him he can do whatever he needs to do because there is a reason why the show is so popular. And the reason is that they do it the way they do it. And so now you can't tell a guy, "Hey, come over here. We'll hook you up. We'll put you in the big time, and whatever you want. Everything's great. Everything." And then get them roped in 3, 4, 5 episodes and pull the effing rug out from under them, which is a total Vince McMahon tactic. So I'm surprised that they weren't expecting it, but something makes me think that Conrad, being a smart guy, did expect it, which is why he said, "No effing way. We're doing this shoe the way I want to do it. This is what makes it successful. It's the highest rated show outside of pay-per-view on the network." He did the right thing, and Vince McMahon is a paper tiger, and not enough people tell him where to go and how to get there. And I think this is a win. I think it's going to end up being a win. It's going to end up being a win.
Conrad's going to find out what happens when you don't do what the big man wants you to do.
You know what you do? When you don't do what the big man wants you to do?
What?
You end up having a good show. This is like why the only reason why this show is good is because I don't do the stupid things you want to do.
Oh, really? Is that
I do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I talk to people I want to talk to.
Oh, okay.
You don't even know it. You're not even. I'm at 30,000 feet. You're underground, baby. You're 6 feet under.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, you're not seeing it where I'm seeing it. This is how I do things.
When Vince McMahon gets here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm telling you right now, you're going to get in line.
I bet I want him to wear his most expensive suit when he's on his hands and knees begging me to put this show on the network. Because then I want to look at him and say, "Oh, you really? Get the F out of here, Vince. Get the F out. That's what I'm going to say.
Run the ropes. Vince, the Boston bad boy would never talk to you like that way, just so you know. I won't allow him to. It's time to run the ropes. It's when I educate this knucklehead Boston bad boy on the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling. Let's go. TNA to invade Chris Jericho's cruise. So you know, Boston bad boy, how Jericho is putting on this cruise where he's going to have wrestling matches as the boat is sailing the seas. It's foolish. I mean, you know, he's done it before.
I mean, it's kind of insane.
He's done it before.
There's a Star Trek cruise, so I mean, I guess that's not the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
I think he's been on the Star Trek cruise, actually.
Wow.
So he has a deal with Ring of Honor. Their wrestlers are going to be participating in the cruise. Well, the folks over at Impact, they want in too. So they got this thing going on where they're going to invade the cruise. They're going to jump in and
pirates?
beat people up. That could be it.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
You're never going to be the captain.
This is interesting because I want to ask you what you think the over-under is on how many teeth are on that cruise that are actually still in people's heads. Because have you ever been on a regular cruise and seen the subhuman people that take cruises? They're horrifying. Now imagine it's a wrestling, you cross-pollinate that with the wrestling fandom. What a scary-looking crowd that must be. What an absolutely scary-looking crowd.
Why do you talk about the fans?
Because it's reality. You know, you see all these things like, oh, cruises, they look beautiful. Oh, all these beautiful people. It's horrifying. It's like a sideshow. And yeah, it's like they do a Leonard Skinner cruise. What does the crowd look like on a Leonard Skinner cruise? Can you only imagine what is going on that cruise? I can't even. So take that and you make it a wrestling cruise. These are not the young and beautiful people. This is not going to be your show that you like to watch. It's going to be horrifying. And the first person to get seasick or dysentery breaks out, there's all these things that happen on cruises. Guys in spandex, it's not going to be a pretty scene, let me tell you. Avoid that cruise at all, if at all possible.
Unbelievable. I mean, the guy starts talking like
I'm trying
that,
to help
folks,
people. I'm trying to help people.
It's unbelievable.
I'm trying to help.
It's unbelievable. CM Punk to fight this weekend in the UFC. That's right, folks. UFC 225. Okay, we're talking about CM Punk. He has his second match in history. You know, he lost his first match.
I was going to say, that last time we saw him, that was the last match he did.
That was the first and the last match.
First and last match.
Yep.
And he, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty traumatic ending for him in that match. It wasn't.
He went up against a guy that was clearly above him in every way in MMA, but he's going up against Mike Jackson now. They have the same record. They're both 0-1.
I love that. That's like saying, oh, you know, if the World Series was today, the Red Sox would be in first place. It's like, what does that mean? It means nothing.
Well,
the thing is, there was an arrogance about CM Punk that he could just take his wrestling experience, transfer it to mixed martial arts, and I think we all learned a lesson that day, which is undisputedly, it's true, you can't just walk into a ring. And I don't know, has he been training? I don't know what his training looks like. One would assume he trained for the first one. I mean, is it possible?
He might shock the world. CM Punk might shock the world.
One way or the other, it's going to be shocking because either it's going to be shocking if this guy wins, or it's going to be, oh my God, he's got another serious head injury.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, I don't want that to happen either, but I mean, this is the guy walking in there, it's unprepared.
I don't think he's unprepared. I think you're just being rude. Dean Ambrose expected to return soon. That's right, folks. The WWE is teasing this whole Shield reunion thing. Okay, we just saw Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. They've been teaming up again on Raw. And Dean Ambrose, he's been spotted. He has a new hairdo. He looks like a refreshed man. He's not wearing the cast anymore. Boston Bad Boy is making fun of his new look. I don't know why.
Well, I just think this whole thing is so uninteresting with him. I just don't. I don't see it. Let's see the appeal. I don't see the appeal.
Well, I never really liked the guy either, but
I just don't see the appeal. I just don't know why we're even bothering talking about it because it's a non-story, really.
Well, if he comes back, he's going to be in the title hunt. You kidding me?
I don't know. Who cares? To me, it's another nameless, faceless person in the roster. It goes back to this whole thing of everybody's, Dean Ambrose. It sounds like he's your realtor, for crying out loud. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Give me some action. Give me some scare. Give me the Hulk Hogan. Give me the Giant. Give me the Warrior. Give me something. Give me something I'll believe in, Vince. Give me something.
Vince, don't give him anything. You don't deserve it. Conrad and Bruce Prichard butt heads with the WWE. We just covered that, folks. Something to wrestle with Bruce Prichard. They were supposed to air this past Wednesday. They're not going to air until Friday. Hopefully, the
Don't bring me down this road again.
Differences will, meet in the
Creative
middle.
differences.
You do what Vince McMahon says, Conrad.
I hope they have it in writing and it becomes a legal difference and they get a payout. That's what I hope. I hope that there was written that there would be that they had final cut on their own show and that WWE is in breach. And I would laugh so hard I'd fall off this effing chair because it would make my day.
I'm just
because just to see the look on your face.
No, I'm going to say this. They're both my friends. Conrad, you do what Vince tells you to do. Period.
Oh, please. Get the hell out of here.
The number one story in the world of professional wrestling is...
It's easy on the furniture.
Doc Amann versus CM Punk and Colt Cabana. That's right, folks. It's the biggest trial in wrestling history that wasn't the steroid trial. We're talking about the WWE doctor Chris Amann. He sued CM Punk and Colt Cabana for defamation, which, oof. And in fact, you know what? Boston Bad Boy, we're going to take a quick break because when we come back, we're just going to jump right to our interview. We got Ross W. Berman IV from Wrestlezone.com. He's going to give us the inside scoop because he was actually in the courtroom. He knows exactly what happens. He can break it down for us. There's no need for us to go any further on this.
Hey, this is the Duke of Dorchester, the one, the only, the man of the hour. Yeah, can you handle that, baby? I want to tell you this. You've been listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
What is this?
I don't know. It's good music.
Hello.
Is this Ross W. Berman IV?
This is he.
How are you, sir?
I can't complain. How about yourself?
Another day in paradise. I got the Boston Bad Boy, my illustrious, sometimes rude producer on the line with us, but he promised me he's going to be on his best behavior this time.
Ross, I do have to ask you before we start anything, the soothing music, I kind of like that, and the ringback tone. It was unexpected, and I like that. It put me in a better mood after dealing with Duke for most of this podcast today.
Oh well, I'm happy I could soothe your earbuds with. I don't even know what the music is at this point.
It's Vivaldi. I think it's Vivaldi.
Oh, look at that!
It's Vivaldi,
Yeah.
perfect.
If you didn't know, he's very cultured there, Ross. So
More
you gotta watch
cultured
out
than
for
you,
this
Duke.
guy. I don't
More
know about
cultured
that.
than you. That's
I
for
don't know
sure.
about that. Now, Ross, we have Nick Hausman over at Wrestlezone, who's your main guy over there. We've had Lavelle Porter, one of your guys over there. They're friends of the show. They've been on numerous times and what have you. I just want to let you know a couple of key things before we get started.
Okay.
Number one, the Boston Bad Boy is always wrong and the Duke is always right.
Incorrect.
Number two, because you're on the show, you're going to have to get us an Italian beef sandwich next time we're in Chicago.
Okay.
And we'll let you pick the place. I think Al's is always good, but we'll let you pick the place. And
All right.
Number three, welcome to the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast.
All three sound good to me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Let's just jump right into this because this is literally the top story in the world of professional wrestling. The trial, the Doc Amann versus CM Punk and Colt Cabana trial. Can you give us some background on this, Ross? Just catch everybody up on what this was all about here.
Well, to really kind of make I don't know what we're at now, but an almost 4 or 5 year story short. Back in 2014, CM Punk walked out of the WWE the night after the Royal Rumble, and then basically didn't say anything to anyone about why he left until November of that year when he went on Colt Cabana's podcast and basically just gave a tell-all interview of the last, year or so of his WWE career. I mean, they go over far more than that, because they're such good friends. They go as far back as they go, period. But one of the things that you touch on is Punk's last year in the WWE. Some of those words did not exactly paint WWE, and especially the WWE medical staff, in a very positive light. Kind of made it sound like a lack of treatment or a lack of real. It didn't feel like he felt he was taken care of by the WWE medical staff, and so that's why he ended up leaving. One of the members of the medical staff, Dr. Chris Amann, Chris Amann. Yes, I'm saying that right now. Sorry, I said I heard like 3 different pronunciations over the past week. But basically, Dr. Chris Amann took exception to the things that were said in the Colt Cabana podcast, and so he got a lawyer involved, and then basically sued Punk for defamation, and also Cabana for defamation in the distribution, etc. of said statements. And so that's where we're at. That's why they just spent the past week in a Chicago courthouse.
So I heard a couple of different figures thrown out, and even from Colt Cabana himself. He was worried that he was being sued for $1 million. I heard $35 million. Do we have a correct figure on how much Doc Amann was trying to get from these guys for alleging that they defamed his character?
Yes, the exact figure is $3.989 million, which the plaintiff's counsel defined as $1 per stream, listen, what have you, of the podcast, which they could confirm was around $4 million.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
To go after,
and that would be.
Podcast.
It sounded like it would be it would be a dollar per stream from each of them, so $3.989 million from each. It was sounding close to a $7 or $8 million lawsuit when all was said and done, if the plaintiff side had won. Jesus. And it's funny, too, because this made it all the way up to a jury trial. So you're saying that it lasted about a week? Yes, it lasted a bit. Well, they did jury selection on the Thursday before Memorial Day. Then the trial started Tuesday, and then it ended following Tuesday. So it was 5 days. It was 7 days with a 2-day weekend. So it was a business week.
Wow.
Tuesday to Tuesday.
So just to recap everything you said in the beginning here, CM Punk, he's tired, he's burnt out, he leaves the WWE, no one knows why. Then he goes on Colt Cabana's podcast there, The Art of Wrestling. Shout out to Colt Cabana, he's the godfather of wrestling podcast. Goes on the podcast, spills his guts. I mean, this guy literally let it all out, gave all kinds of background info, behind-the-scenes info on what was going on at that time with him and Vince and everybody. The doctor takes exception to what CM Punk said and decides to sue he and Colt Cabana for doing the podcast and allegedly defaming his character. So we go to a jury trial. Does this even make sense to you? I know I'm asking your opinion on this one, Ross, but you're a guy who has been in the thick of this, covering this issue. Did it even make sense that it got that far to a jury trial, something like this?
Yes, it does, because ultimately they were filing a defamation per se case, and the difference between defamation and defamation per se is that in a specific defamation per se case, you don't have to cite monetary or professional damages. You just have to prove that someone's reputation was harmed, which, I mean, they had plenty of tweets, funny, Twitter handles aside, they had plenty of tweets that were, abusive towards Dr. Amann. Whether this actually inflicted emotional harm to him, no one can really say, but that's all they really needed to prove for defamation per se. And so for that reason alone, I can understand it making it in front of a judge, and it also explains the quick jury deliberation. It explains why Punk and Cabana ended up winning the case. I mean, it wasn't a strong case, but it was a technically presentable, legitimate case. The old Futurama quote, you're technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
You're the first person that I've heard talk about this issue that instead of allowing the wrestling fan within you to take over and just take the side of the wrestlers, you actually are pointing out a fact. It wouldn't have gone that far unless it was legitimate, at least in the eyes of the judicial system. So, yeah, the doctor had a point there that needed to be ironed out before a jury of the peers of those guys. What are some of the highlights for you? Once again, you were actually physically in the courtroom, so you got to see all the drama play out right before your eyes. What are some highlights that stick out for you now that you're separated from it?
I think now that I'm separated from it, it's really, I feel like the entire trial is defined by that day where Colt Cabana and CM Punk were on the stand for the defense's case, because this is the day where, the courtroom is pretty much empty for most of the proceedings. Like the day I was there, it was just me and then and Greg Pratt from the Tribune, who would come in and out whenever he had some time, and then also there were numerous lawyers and law students that would come in and out on their lunch breaks, etc. But the courtroom was basically empty. But then on this Friday, when Colt Cabana was on the stand, all of a sudden you look around and the courtroom has just filled with eighth graders that are there because it's Friday, it's the end of the school year. They're probably, there for civics class or something. They needed a court case that didn't have too many graphic images, and so they show up right as, you've got Colt Cabana holding up or being shown CM Punk's camo shorts that have seemingly been pulled out of nowhere by the defense just to prove that, yes, he does know what CM Punk's camo shorts look like. And then you also have CM Punk having to identify not only his ring gear from the 2014 Royal Rumble, but also the Speedo that he wears underneath, and then just tells everyone, 8th graders included, by the way, fun piece of WWE trivia, only Speedo I've ever owned for the entirety of my WWE career. And so that was the day where I think everyone, lawyers, judge, in the courtroom, even on the jury, I think started to have this moment of, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Just this kind of, it was a very, it got ridiculous at points. And I think that's kind of the day that paints an accurate portrait of just how weird and how it really was this kind of case of people taking something seriously versus people saying, look, sometimes people exaggerate. Because if I had a nickel for every time someone had to answer the question whether a golf ball was smaller than a baseball, I would be a very rich man. I'd be able to pay Punk and Cabana's legal fees combined if I had a dime for every time I was able to. Every time someone confirmed the golf ball was smaller than a baseball. So it was just a ridiculous case, and I think it's a good thing that it came out on Punk and Cabana's side, because boy howdy, it would be some kind of Kafkaesque nightmare if they had lost this one.
Sure. We're talking to our main man here, Ross. Now, I got to say your full name here. I can't just say a little bit of it. Ross W. Berman the Fourth.
It lends a lot of gravitas.
Seriously.
Which is good, because he's obviously a legal expert. He might not have been at the beginning, but he is now.
He knows his stuff now. Now, Ross, one of the biggest moments of the trial is as far as what everyone's talking about, and again, they took your coverage, which I gotta just do an aside here, folks. You've seen this trial covered all over the place, and I know we had folks from the Chicago Tribune who were in the courtroom at times as well. But I noticed that most of the websites out there, actually all of them, they were taking Ross and Nick Hausman's coverage and then just reproducing it. So for any of you out there that didn't attribute coverage to these guys, didn't give them credit for their work, shame on you, okay? Because these guys are actually physically in the courtroom covering this thing, spending their own personal time, making sure that they got the right information firsthand. So you really need to give credit where credit's due on that. I just wanted to put that aside out there.
Now, Ross, at any point during the proceedings, when there was a bit of downtime, did you try and take up that courtroom sketch kind of thing, just to pass the time, maybe come up with something cool?
There was literally one point where I wanted to start sketching and wish I had any artistic ability, and it was when there was a moment, and I don't know how the transcripts work, but it was one of those off the record, we need the judge to figure this out moments, where they were trying to decide how much of the 2014 Royal Rumble they were allowed to show in the courtroom. Because, we're talking about footage. Basically, Amann and Punk are the only time they're on camera is right after Kane chokeslams Punk through the announce table, as I think everyone can recall happens during the elimination. And so obviously Amann's attorneys don't want Punk shown being thrown through an announce table to the jury, because hello. But also, just at one point the judge had to ask, well, wait, but who? I don't know who Kane is. To which I think it was the plaintiff's side had to say, the big man without a shirt.
Jesus.
As opposed to little man. Three of them just kind of shouting at the judge about this Rumble footage. So it's like, oh, we need a sketch artist. We need some kind of I wish everyone could get the visuals that I was getting right now.
That's wild. The most talked about part of the whole trial was when Punk was on the stand and he broke down and he was crying as he was personally reliving some of these difficulties he was going through at the time. Talk to us about that. As somebody who was there, what was your impression of that? Do you feel it was genuine, or was there a little showmanship going on in that courtroom?
Well, actually, funny you should ask that. Apparently, Colt Cabana's lawyer asked the same thing. I don't know if you had heard, but Colt Cabana released today a podcast that's just he recorded it over the course of the entire trial, night after night. He would come home from the trial, record his thoughts. He didn't even know if he was going to be allowed to release it, but he just thought, if and in case, I'm going to have this podcast ready to go. And so he released it. He released it today, and apparently, his lawyer asked the same thing. Was that real? Because basically what happened was they're asking Punk about 2014, and he just starts, as my people say, he just starts getting verklempt. He gets very kind of, swept up. He gets very emotional over just having to relive his mental state in 2014. And that was, Colt Cabana absolutely said that. He said, yeah, that had to have been real. Because, he obviously didn't cry on the podcast because it was catharsis. It was him being able to get the year off his chest and vent and shout and curse, because, oh, God, does he curse in that podcast. But, so it was it kind of getting that podcast off his chest was a big thing, but then being asked to be put back into that mental state, that place that he was in 2014, definitely seemed to get to Phil Brooks. This wasn't CM Punk crying on the witness stand to get sympathy. This is Phil Brooks having to revisit what, by all testimony, seems to show was a very difficult time for him.
Wow. And I did hear that, and shout out to Colt Cabana. He didn't know if, like you said, if he'd be able to put that podcast out. His daily recordings, and boy, did he sound beat up. He was talking about how sick he was, and he had to be popping Tylenol, which is not something he normally does. It's a lot, because literally your entire life savings or whatever could just be gone. You got to give up millions of dollars just like that, and if you don't have millions of dollars just sitting in the bank, good luck.
Thankfully, I have millions of dollars, because I use Tylenol after this show.
Oh, yeah?
Because the headache you give me, is so bad. I got to ask you, Ross, what do you think? The WWE's on this meteoric rise, which the fall. When you're on the super ups and super downs, there's always instability there. Here comes something sort of a sign of instability. What do you think this means for the WWE moving forward, especially in regard to medical issues? We've got the CTE thing that they're still trying to figure out. Who knows how big and how deep that's going to go. What do you think for them as a company this means?
I think they're going to have a lot that they're going to have to address, because I think one of the big takeaways that I got from this trial is that Chris Amann seems to be a very good guy. He seems to be, he was a straight-A student. He sounds, by all accounts, to have been a very good doctor that was working within a lawless system. One of the key things that they noted in the trial is that Amann did not have to take any records of what he was giving to Punk. He could just hand him Z-Packs no matter what.
That's unbelievable.
Now you said Z-Pack. Hold on. What is a Z-Pack?
Completely blank.
What is a Z-Pack? You said. Hold on a second there, Ross. You said a word that I don't want to leave there. What's a Z-Pack?
Z-Pack is it's a type of antibiotic. It's used to treat many different, like bronchial, or it can be used, I think, to treat concussion symptoms.
Interesting.
It's a kind of use-all antibiotic, and this was kind of the crux of what really hurt Dr. Amann's case, is that he was even texting with friends, joking about the fact that you could pretty much just give away Z-Packs like they were candy. You could text Dr. Amann and say, hey, I'm not feeling well, I need an antibiotic, and he would come give it to you in Gorilla, or come have you meet him in the trainer's room. There's no note put into your medical record that you've been given this antibiotic. You just get it.
Wow.
And if they're leaving that out, there's no way to trust what they're not leaving out. And so it definitely hints an issue with the records that are kept in WWE, at least at that time.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, does Vince McMahon or whoever the management listed for the WWE, do they get mentioned during this trial as negligence extending to them? Is this is sort of exposing something that they didn't even probably, they're sort of bystanders in this particular case. But this is exposing huge either willful ignorance or huge just disorganizational ignorance on their part. And if it's willful, that's a big problem.
I agree completely. I think that should be the big takeaway, is how have the records at WWE, how have their maintenance been changed since 2014? If they haven't, why not? And if they have, how so?
Right, and if they haven't been keeping records, why aren't they? And if they're putting these records through shredding machines for the sake of not wanting to expose the fact that they're putting these wrestlers in danger by either ignoring their symptoms or just not letting real doctors do their jobs properly, you're talking something that could topple the whole house of cards.
Well, it's the thing is, right now the main thing that's been pointed out is an easy thing to fix. They just need some kind of checks and balances on the records, and then they can keep moving on from there.
Sure.
I do think it's going to put them under a microscope, and how they react to that's going to be telling. But I don't know if it's necessarily the death blow that.
But if they start keeping records, right? If they start from today to start keeping nailed down medical records on the treatment that their wrestlers receive, and suddenly within 6 months we see this trend where these guys are getting concussions 3 times a night. Now, do they want that in the file when they go to do another stock plan or whatever to say, well, what is your workers are getting concussed 3 times a night per show, and they're going to be vegetables in 5 years? Like, that's not a sustainable business model, and it would explain why they weren't keeping records to begin with. That's just my theory, but I think it's going to be very hard to convince them to even, unless it comes down from a court order or something, which would have to be a whole other case, to keep these records, because it's going to show that the science that's coming out now is true. And it's going to show there's maybe some responsibility on their part for not, for what they do, for what they write, for how they stage these matches, and what their safety protocols are. And that's a very expensive thing to fix for them, I think.
I agree.
And I'll just say that, we got to put this in context. This is years ago. What was it, 2014 we're talking about? Some of this stuff could already be corrected.
That's kind of my point, is that they just need to prove it's been addressed at all since then, and if not, they need to start.
Yeah. Well, that'll be was there any call, or has there been any call since? I know this verdict came out recently, just a couple days ago. I mean, do you think that there's some sort of movement out there to say, okay, WWE, what have you done since? And if so, from who?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't
Interesting.
know.
That may be coming.
Well, that's the thing. It's like who, sort of there's blood in the water now.
Sure.
And there are these other, when we've spoken to other wrestlers who are involved in the CTE thing, for instance, who are involved in other injury issues that are going to come forward and say, all right, we can talk about this.
Yep.
And that's the one thing it seems that the WWE doesn't want to do.
It's tough. It's tough. And Ross, to piggyback on this stuff here, Punk has a major match coming up. This is his second UFC match this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think this is going to affect him? Because he obviously hasn't been able to be training so much if he's been dealing with this trial. What do you think the odds are he's going to make it out a winner or even survive that match?
Look, I don't know what his training schedule is. I do know that when the verdict came in after he, was hugging his wife and kind of thanking the legal team, he was asked how he was feeling by I think it was Colt's attorney. Just asked him how he was feeling. He said, "I need to hit something. I want to get back in training. I want to hit something." And so I think I think if anything can give you the kind of supernatural strength to win a fight, it's winning a kind of David versus Goliath court case like this one. Because the weakness of Amann's case aside, it very much was two people that could not necessarily afford the verdict versus someone that had a little bit of help, that seemed to have some help with their case. And so I think if anything can help him, it's this. He's got that. He's already won one underdog fight. He's definitely the underdog going into this one to UFC fans, and so I gotta believe he's ready to. I gotta believe he's ready to at least put up more of a fight than he put last time.
Does this have any impact on CM Punk returning to the WWE someday?
Probably not. I mean, I was just on Sean Waltman's 1-2-360 podcast. Waltman said you should never say never, especially when WWE is involved, and I think that's a fair assessment, because we don't know what WWE is going to look like in 10 years. We don't know what CM Punk's career is going to look like in 10 years. For all we know, he'll be ready. He'll be ready to go back to WWE in a year, let alone 10 years, let alone however long both him and the company have.
Good call.
And so I won't say never. I don't know if this hurts his chances or not, but I won't say never.
Ross, if fans want to get in touch with you, if they want to see what's going on, especially anything new that you're writing over there at Wrestlezone, what's the best way they can reach out?
At Ross W. Berman IV on Twitter, Ross W. Berman the Fourth. I'll be doing the blow-by-blow, play-by-play commentary of, not commentary, but transcription of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion event on Saturday morning. So if you liked my blow-by-blow coverage of the CM Punk trial and want to see how I handle it, probably 1+ hour match between Okada and Omega, and Saturday morning, Wrestlezone.com. I'll have all of the or mandatory.com/Wrestlezone. I'll have all the results at Ross W. Berman IV on Twitter, and those are where to hit me up.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Ross W. Berman of the Fourth. Okay, not the first, not the second, not the third, the Fourth. Wrestlezone.com. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you both for having me. Have a good one.
Wow, I'll tell you, that was something else, man.
I think I have my JD now after listening to that.
Seriously?
I'm a Juris Doctor.
Wow.
And you should be impressed and pay me more. What should happen.
I'll pay you a knuckle sandwich. That's what I'll pay you
It'd
with.
be better than the sandwich you're getting with your name on it. We know that's something no one wants.
Shout out again to Ross W. Berman the Fourth.
The Fourth.
Which is what a hell of a name for this guy.
Listen, I wish I had some sort of provenance like that.
You might need to rename yourself.
I'm gonna reemploy myself on a new show. Because there's definitely some podcast opportunities.
No, there are no opportunities out there. And I told all you people out there, no, Boston Bad Boy is not open for business. All right, he's locked into a solid contract. We already went through the court system here. We already figured it out. He's here. That's it.
All right. You know what is out there?
Who?
Our friend Babam and XBit Gaming.
Oh my God!
And they're bringing you the baddest retro gaming stream team in the world. They just started this June. They're on Facebook Gaming. The link is facebook.com/xbitgaming. They're the only team around to give you up to 4 full streams a day lasting more than 2 hours. So if retro gaming is your thing, I know it's not your thing, Duke, because you're horrible at games.
I'm very good.
But if retro gaming is your thing, get on facebook.com/xbitgaming, facebook.com/xbitgaming for all your meme and stream needs.
I'm telling you right now, I've been on that site. In fact, fans, join me over there at the XBit Gaming site there on Facebook.
Facebook.com/XBitGaming.
Yeah.
Get it right.
We're going to go over there, and we're going to let some of these punks know that they're terrible at the games that they play, because they are, especially Babam. He's the worst gamer in the world. He's not even half as good as I am. And I would tell him to his face.
You don't even know
I would tell him to his face,
You don't even know it, but you're
boy.
wading into a world of pain, my friend. You're wading into a world of pain.
Whatever. All right, well, coming up next, because I'm sick of talking about that punk, the Boston Bad Boy, he's got another guest on the line there, and hopefully it's somebody that's decent, because I see it lit up there.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, okay.
We'll save that.
We'll be right back, folks.
This is former WWE superstar Al Snow and magician to the blind. You're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
Hello.
Is this Babam?
Hold on 1 second. Let me just double check. Hold on. Okay, yeah, Boston Bad Boy, your PayPal went through. Yeah, I can talk for this appearance.
Wow.
Hold on a second. I banned this guy from my show.
No.
You
do not have
commercials for him last segment.
You don't
here.
have the ban
This is
privileges.
2 weeks in a row with this garbage here, okay?
Well,
I don't want this guy on my show.
You know what? Be better at gaming, and I won't have to bring Babam on to straighten you out. How about that?
I guess that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Babam.
Yeah.
You're not worthy to be on the show anymore, because I've been watching your XBit Gaming site over there on Facebook, and you guys have been terrible at all the games you're playing. I mean, you're just terrible at the games, okay?
Yeah.
Can you shut him up, please? Because I know he's talking nonsense.
I'm just wondering. We had a stream today that had the number of every single podcast he's done combined in an hour. I'm just confused.
So can I come work for you then, instead of being sitting in this?
He's not coming to work.
Yeah.
No, he's not
like
coming
when
to work.
people are at work and don't have time to watch stuff, we had more people watching.
Okay.
I'm not surprised about that, because Duke still won't show me the numbers for this disaster of a show that week in and week out I'm contractually obligated to sit through.
Which is why you call this guy to come on my show, because it's a disaster?
I called this guy to come on my show to straighten you out. So,
Babam,
you have the floor, my friend.
This is a joke.
Hi. How's it going, guys?
Whatever. But why are you on my show?
What do you mean? What? I just wanted to talk about wrestling. That Johnny Gargano, that guy's great, huh?
No, we don't need you to come on the show to talk about wrestling, Bomb. And it's funny too because you've been ducking me ever since WrestleGamia again. It's funny how every time we right after WrestleGamia, which
when
is
you
around
lose, by the way,
when I destroy you,
no, when you lose,
you just tuck yourself back in that little hole that you wherever you're at there, and you just disappear, pal. Because the greatest gamer in the history of your life has shown you once again. While you'll never be where I'm at, okay?
Who am I talking to?
Yeah, I often wonder that myself.
Yeah,
he's not.
I'm just wondering because you said the greatest gamer.
That's what I am.
I thought this was a wrestling podcast. I wanted to talk about Johnny Gargano.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he's great.
You know what? Like I said, but Bomb, you have the floor. You can talk about whatever you want. You want to talk about the weather? You want to talk about Johnny Gargano?
How about this weather, though?
Isn't it beautiful, huh?
30 degrees on Monday, 77 today. I love it.
I apologize, folks. I didn't mean to have this guy on the show again.
Well, here's the thing, Duke. Here's the thing. Let me just get to it. All right. So because my time is very expensive, as Boston Bad Boy knows.
Yeah,
and it's become a thing since we've been pushed by Facebook to be official gamers for their pilot program. I have a lot of appearances to go to. I have a lot of conventions.
Oh,
to go
give me
to,
a break.
So I don't have a lot of time to talk semantics with you. The thing that I came here to do, because you came into my stream, you started running your mouth like a big dummy.
I straighten out all you people on your stream. That's why I go to that page often just to let people know how terrible they are what they do.
That's fantastic. That you're that sad and you have that much time on your hands.
He is both sad and has time on his hands.
Right,
It is quite a combination.
Yeah, it's pathetic, honestly. I just came into. I wanted to straight up challenge you, sir. To Gamer Slam on August 18th at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be the debut of the Facebook Gaming Championship belt.
Now I have to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you need someone to be a very impartial referee for this match? Because I might know somebody.
I would absolutely enjoy having if you're available, Double B.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely enjoy having your presence there as a call it straight down the middle.
That's right. Absolutely.
Bill Alfonso style referee for the match.
Listen,
I would appreciate
I'm wholesome and I call him as I see him. Okay, and none of this nonsense about Duke saying the buttons are sticky or whatever he tries to pull every time he's on.
Well, one of the things I've heard, he says that the paddles are broken.
Yeah, the paddles are broken.
I went on Amazon looking for paddles, and I couldn't find any. So what I did was I ordered 3 brand new factory seal controllers.
Okay.
One of Nintendo 64, all Nintendo brand.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, and for the GameCube that he will have to open before he plays.
I like this.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have no problem overseeing it. Like, when they bring the Oscars out, they're in the case.
Yeah.
And no one touches them and no one sees it. Again, very fair and impartial. I'll bring him out and we'll be able to look at him, and then he'll have nothing to effing bitch about.
Let me say something here. Let me say something.
I didn't even. I forgot you were there.
I wish I could forget he was here.
I'm going to set the record straight once and for all because I know a lot of times we like to hoot and holler and get a little crazy in here. Okay? But, Bomb, you were nowhere near my level
here we go.
in any video game scenario in your life. And the fact that you believe that you're going to play some games, you got factory sealed paddles that you're bringing to the Duke, you bring it all, pal. Okay, you bring the broken ones, you bring the new ones, you bring the old ones. It doesn't matter, okay? If you're challenging me to kick your butt in games again, then so be it, okay? I'll be there. And I'm going to destroy you in front of your entire gaming universe there.
Duke,
and Facebook's going to know who the real champion is,
Duke,
okay?
Hi, sorry, I just had to take a phone call. You were on mute the whole time. What were you saying?
You see this guy? Because he's afraid of me.
I got to ask you,
because he's afraid of me, okay?
I got to ask you, what was it like to meet Zuckerberg when you guys...
I haven't met Zuckerberg. That is funny. It was We did get one of my friends who does all the marketing for us. He goes, "Hey, when you're barbecuing with Zuckerberg, don't forget about me." And I go, "New phone, who did?"
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Marcus is a good friend of mine, by the way. Marcus Zuckerberg,
and
shout out.
It's pretty funny because every time Duke tries to text me, I say new phone, who dis, and he never gets it.
No.
He says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, wrong number." Yeah, he doesn't play with a
I
full
look
deck.
forward to destroying you again, Babam. Okay, because I'm sick of you.
Yeah, I think what they're doing over at Facebook, honestly, with this gaming thing, I'm excited to be a part of this. Like, I'm not going to joke. Like, this is really exciting. This is something that no other platform has ever tried to do before. You have a couple of other sponsors out there like Twitch and YouTube, but like their numbers are falling drastically because they can't keep up with the times. And Facebook's got the money, and they're willing to throw it at this. So it's been really cool to see how this changes. Now, that being said, like being sponsored with a 10.1 to 10.6 million audience with the availability of watching my streams now, it's absolutely incredible. And I know, Duke, I know you're getting nervous because now I'm gonna not only I'm gonna kick your
the whole world is watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your butt in front of millions.
An international audience.
You put the Duke on the marquee, and you know what's going to happen. I'm walking away with the championship.
You're not Cody Rhodes.
Well,
like I don't.
I'm Ric Flair. I'm not Cody Rhodes. I'm Ric Flair.
I'm Ric Flair.
Okay, that's it. The greatest.
You put Ric Flair on a marquee today, and you're just getting autographs, sir. There's no.
Wow, he besmirched.
I'm coming out of retirement just to beat you again. Okay, I don't even own these systems. You own the systems, pal. You're the one who's over there practicing. You're over there focusing, trying to get the little cheat codes and the Game Shark and all that. I just walk in, beat you, and go home. That's it. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Babam, on a serious note, give a little bit of a primer to what you guys do on your channel for those people who aren't turned on to it yet. You know what I mean? Who don't, aren't really. Understanding what it is, what the culture is.
What it is. So it's kind of interesting. What we do is we play video games that people watch as like a community.
Sure.
So people will come in and I'll be playing the video games between 2 and 3 hours to 4 hours a night, and people will come in and just it's kind of like you remember when you used to go over to your friend's house and you take turns on the controller. That's kind of the atmosphere that we bring to it. There are different gamers out there on the platform that are Facebook-sponsored gamers that are fantastic, like Stone Mountain 64. He plays Fortnite, which is a very popular game right now, and he's a lot of fun to watch. And, thousands of people come in. They hang out like they're hanging out at their buddy's house. As a matter of fact, I can't even tell you how many conversations get turned into just talking about like professional wrestling or talking about what's going on like with E3 that's coming up this week, or what's going on with like what happened at PAX, what's next for Facebook. A lot of people have a lot of questions because we have this little logo in the corner. It says gaming, which gives us the official share to go instead of it saying live, it says gaming. And that's
cool.
That's what separates us between people who are just playing games on the internet and getting sponsored, being partnered with Facebook. So what it is we try to give you that atmosphere of like just coming in and hanging out with your friends, and that's what we usually do unless Duke's on.
Well, when I'm on, that's when business picks up. We already know that.
Oh, boy. I got to tell you, before we let you go, Babam, I know you're very busy, unlike Duke. I know you're very busy. There's a lot going on for you. When I was a kid hanging out at my buddy's house playing, I never had a Super Nintendo. They did. So I'd come over and play Mario Kart, the original games. Yeah. And there was one game that I never got a chance to play. I would have to sit and watch him play, and it was the Zelda game for Super Nintendo, which is
Link to the Past.
The Link to the Past.
My favorite Zelda game.
Okay, now I coveted this game. I got very rarely got to play it. And I never, and it was one of those things from childhood, it's like a trauma. Yeah. So recently, I was given one of those little Super Nintendos that's like a self-contained one, that has all the games in it. Yep. And what game is in there? A Link to the Past.
Link to the Past.
I dragged my living room chair over to the television. I set it up, and the sun came up. I've been playing that, and it's so satisfying because I can just sit there, and it's such a challenging game. Yep. It was state of the art at the time, where you could sort of explore in that RPG kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
I'm totally sucked in. I'm in.
Legend of Zelda.
I'm in.
Legend of Zelda. All the games that have come out for the most part have been absolutely fantastic, and they suck people in. And when you come by to ref
Yeah.
I will make sure that I give you one of those controller extensions. I got a bunch of them.
Oh,
so that
nice.
way you don't have to sit so close to the TV. You can game back on your couch. And
Look at
enjoy
that.
it.
Look at that. See, you see what happens, Duke,
Look at
when you're
that.
friends with a guy like
So-
Obama, an up-and-comer,
Yeah, a little
a
love
man who
fest.
knows what he's doing
Yeah,
in
love
life.
fest. Yeah.
He's able to hook you up
Yeah,
with
a guy
something
that
cool.
loses to me
you
in games.
are going to get
Yeah.
nothing.
And then he comes on
by the
my
way,
show
guys,
to talk. He loses to
between
me.
your rambling, Duke. Are you accepting the challenge or what? Like, are you coming?
He doesn't have a
day
choice.
before?
What's the date?
That's August 18th. That's the day before SummerSlam. It's GamerSlam. Things are going to happen. I'm challenging you to several wrestling video games.
Fine.
And you're
Fine.
going to get your ass handed to you.
I
All
love it.
that being said, and I know you guys. I want to hear your opinion on this. And it's an actual wrestling question, and it's
Imagine
something
that.
that's been. I probably should have cleared this with the double B before I went on. But what do you guys think about All In?
I think it's a great idea. You're talking about Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks putting together their own wrestling event. Allegedly it's sold out. There's going to be 10,000 people, whatever. I think it's a great idea because throughout the beginning of time, wrestlers have promoted their own pro wrestling cards, and everyone thinks that they can do it better than the big-time promoter. So it's like, all right, Vince McMahon's a big guy. We can do our own thing, and it's going to be great and what have you. The fans are getting behind it. It's marketed properly. But I don't believe that it's sustainable. There's not going to be an all-in 10 or what have you where they're still going to have this type of momentum. I think this is a one or two-shot deal, which is fine. It's a quick money grab, and then you move on to the next thing. But I think in a short term, it's a good idea.
I think the name represents what's going to happen afterwards. I think Cody's going to leave and go back to the WWE after this is over.
Wow.
It's a personal opinion of mine. I think now I listened to another podcast where he was on. I know you can't get him, Duke. He refuses to take the calls from you.
I don't want him.
Why wouldn't you want Cody Rhodes? He's like
Because I prefer
non-WWE wrestler out there right now.
Because I prefer Goldust. I'd rather have his brother on. I don't care
well,
about
I mean,
Cody
I would
Rhodes.
love. I mean, Goldust is a fantastic grab but you still can't get him because I think the restraining order's still up.
Yeah, definitely the restraining order is still active.
Shout out to Brandy Rhodes, who's actually a friend of mine, and we do interact on a routine basis, by the way.
People who are friends of yours aren't even friends of yours, and you haven't figured that out yet.
Okay, see?
He stalked somebody for like a month, and
suddenly,
it's a close personal friend of mine. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we're afraid of you in the gaming community.
You should be.
No, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. And I'm really interested. I did get the ability to get tickets. I mean, are you going to go, Duke? Or
what the hell am I going to some rinky-dink?
You're so above it. You're so above it.
Poorly put together card for. I can go to some armory and watch it.
This is what it is, Babam. That Duke is not really a wrestling fan because if he was really a wrestling fan, he'd enjoy wrestling in all its forms.
Really?
He's just a company shill for the WWE. That's
Vince
all.
McMahon's a good friend of mine. Okay.
I mean, that's okay. That's all right. I guess that's.
It's all right. It's a lonely life.
I'm
it's a
insulted.
sad, lonely life,
you
but
wouldn't
I guess it's all right.
I'm insulted that you even asked me that ridiculous question.
Well, all right. Well, then let me ask you this: what do you think of Xavier Woods versus Kenny Omega at E3?
I think that's a great idea because Kenny Omega is a much better gamer than Xavier Woods will ever be.
It's actually true. He's actually not lying.
Well, why would I? When am I lying?
Hang
when
on, let me write this down. Let me write this down. It's an occasion.
And I don't even like Kenny Omega. I think he's a punk. I think he's overrated in the wrestling ring. But as far as a gamer,
the best wrestler to ever exist.
Nah, probably not. But as far as a gamer, being a gamer is concerned, he's pretty good. He's not on my level, but he's pretty good.
Hands down, one of the best retro gamers I've ever seen. Honestly, I've watched several documentaries about him, and I don't know how you couldn't say he's probably one of the best wrestlers out there, physically, mentally, and just character-wise right now.
All right, you want to plug your crap because right now you're talking nonsense and I can't deal with it
No, I'm
anymore.
not talking nonsense.
Nah,
I'm talking wrestling.
I'm not.
Exactly.
Whatever you're saying, it doesn't make any sense.
Babam, thank you for coming on the show today. As always, you brought insight, you brought clarification.
You wasted my time.
Movement and dynamic energy.
And I will see you at Summer Gamia, and I'm going to kick your disgusting face in. Whatever.
Look, he's not even. He can't even get his head in the game with the name of it.
Well, whatever it's called. It's called the Duke Beats the Babam again.
You would have been fired.
It's called the Duke Beats Babam again. That's what it's called. What's
it called?
The Duke Beats Babam again.
The Duke Duke beats. I couldn't even say it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. It hurts you. It hurts you to say it. That's right.
Oh my God.
Well,
so I'll see you at Gamerslam.
Yeah,
thank you.
That too.
Yeah.
I'll be there too.
Okay.
His name is Babam. It's XBit Gaming. Facebook.com/XBit Gaming. They get everything you need for gaming. Hang out. Enjoy it. And Babam, thank you for coming on the show again, man.
Absolutely. See you later. Bye.
You know, there's something kind of weird going on with you and him, and I can't really figure it out.
No,
it just
don't worry. Don't you worry about it.
A couple of miserable people that want to bust my chops, and it just doesn't make sense.
Don't make it so easy then.
Stop having this guy come on the show.
Spine.
He's a terrible gamer. Yeah. I go on his gaming site just to make fun of him because he's so terrible.
How much money do you make playing video games?
I'm going to start making more than him.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to steal all his fans.
You tell me when that happens.
I'm going to steal all his fans. That's
you tell me when that happens, and then we'll talk.
This guy owns the system. So he's a ringer, and I beat him. Figure that one out.
Buy the system. It's a poor carpenter that blames Jesus, all right? Just remember that.
Wow, that was profound.
Did you like that?
Look at that. Jesus. Man, what a show we've had today. I mean, I'm still reeling.
Are we done yet or what?
Well, you know, the interview with Ross W. Berman IV from our friends over there at Wrestlezone.com. I'm still thinking back on all the things that we talked about. I just want to put something out there in all seriousness, folks. My good friend Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Oh, Jesus, will you get off it already?
In no way do I sanction anything negative being spoken about you and your company. You know, we've always been very close, so I appreciate you, pal.
Are you afraid of a loss? That's what's happening here?
No.
Are you
Vince
scared?
is my friend, and I just want to let him know that we're just covering the news. But, you know, obviously my opinion is not that you've done anything wrong.
Let me tell you something. Okay? In my opinion, Vince McMahon is complicit.
No, he's not. He's not.
Either in, as I said, willful ignorance or just plain ignorance. Either way, it's ignorance.
I don't agree.
I think, and this is my opinion, that there was a standing order by the WWE to their medical staff to not keep records.
That's ridiculous.
Because like I said to our guest, if they start tracking the injuries, especially head injuries, that happen to these athletes, it is not ever going to look good. It is going to be an avalanche of crap that they will not be able to dig themselves out from underneath. It will put them out of business.
This is what you need to understand. The wrestling business at the end of the day comes down to the talent.
It's a blood sport.
It comes down to the talent.
No.
Having conflict with each other, whether it's predetermined or not, but they have to perform. It makes no sense for the company to put them in a position where they're going to permanently damage themselves because for this reason, you can't use them anymore.
All right, let me tell you something.
So you just ruined your investment.
When Vince McMahon's
smarter than that. Okay?
You think so?
He's smarter than that.
Really?
Okay?
He's smarter
He's
than
not going to ruin his own investment. You need them to work.
Yeah.
They can't work if they're a vegetable. So what you're saying
Tell that to your buddy who can't wrestle anymore because he's broken every bone in his body and he can't handle it.
The nonsense now.
What did Vince McMahon have to say in front of the United States Congress in the 80s? What did he go in front of them and have to admit?
He said it's sports entertainment.
That's right.
Okay.
So if it's sports entertainment, why are these non-athletes, according to him, sustaining injuries that professional athletes in other sports are sustaining? Probably more so. You can't have it both ways. And he's trying to, once again, have it both ways because he doesn't want to write the check when these guys are vegetables or they can't walk or they can't speak and they've given their bodies and their minds to this profession, not knowing the risks and also not being taken care of because the medical staff was negligent because they were told by the WWE either implicitly or expressly to not keep records, to not track these injuries, and to just keep giving them Zycam, whatever the hell they kept giving them. I don't care. I don't know what it is. They might as well give them
Zycam?
Yeah, they might as well give them Band-Aids and a lollipop.
God. You know,
because you know what? It doesn't. It's disgusting.
No, it's disgusting that you want to blame an entire company for the negligence of the performers and the negligence, and I hate to say it, of some of these doctors. Okay? Why don't you talk about the doctor instead of talking about the company?
Let me tell you something.
What the hell is wrong with him? He has a Hippocratic oath that he took that said that he had to do things a certain way. Okay?
Hippocratic.
And now he's doing this other nonsense
let's talk about the doctor that killed Michael Jackson, the doctor that killed Prince.
Yeah. So this guy's not documenting the Z-Packs that he's giving away. That's his problem. That's his fault. Don't blame the company for that.
Where is the oversight? He is employed by the WWE. This is not a doctor at the hospital that they went to go see.
He's a shadowy figure if he's giving away Z-Packs without documenting.
Why are they hiring shadowy figures?
Do you know everything that happens in your company? Do you know everything that happens with the people underneath you?
Absolutely.
Give me a break.
That's why I know how to manage,
crap.
and I make sure there's no problems.
Crap.
If I buy let's say a car from a certain motor car company, right? I buy a car and I'm driving and my effing steering wheel falls off, and then your steering wheel falls off, the same car, and 3 other people. You know what happens? The company has to take care of it. It's the company's responsibility, even though you're the one driving the car.
What makes you think the WWE hasn't taken care of it? You're talking about something that happened literally at least 4 or 5 years ago.
No,
what
4 or
makes
5
you
years.
think they
That's
haven't
ancient
taken care of
history.
it?
What is wrong with you?
How many people do you think have complained about the same thing that CM Punk's
open the books and open the books.
They're a publicly traded company.
Open the medical record books to the people who need it.
Garbage.
Let them be examined by a medical board.
That's
and,
garbage.
You know what? Open them in front of in the court case for the CTE. If you have the records, show them. If there's nothing to hide, show it.
Who's doing more for CTE than the WWE? There's not a
giving
sports
people
organization.
CTE? I would say the NFL's probably. I would say the NFL's probably giving. I would say the NFL's doing more to give people CTE than the WWE, but not by much.
Give me a break. The WWE's invested more money. They've done a hell of a lot more for all these athletes as it pertains to the CTE issue. So you got to stop blaming the WWE for that crap.
Because they try to bury it.
They're doing the right thing.
What are they doing the right thing?
Okay.
They got a guy not keeping medical records who's got an infection, who's losing his career over this, and you're telling me that they're doing more? What are they doing? If that's what they're doing when they help people, what are they trying to do when they're hurting somebody?
Stop that right now.
You're
You're
unbelievable.
not going to do this,
no,
okay?
You're unbelievable.
You're not going to paint the company that has meant so much to all of us for so many years. You're not going to paint them in a negative light.
Paint them in a negative light.
Crazy doctor would not keeping records
Talk to
properly.
Your friends. Talk to your friends, people you've actually spoken to who have debilitating injuries long term because of the care they receive. Talk to one of their main guys who couldn't get a hip replacement because they couldn't throw a couple thousand at him.
Stop.
I signed a $2 billion deal.
That's not their business there, okay?
Oh, now it's not their business.
That's not their business.
But if that guy was injured and couldn't wrestle that night, Vince McMahon would fire them on the spot because that's his business, isn't it? That's his business because it's all about the money, isn't it? It's unbelievable, and you're unbelievable too.
Mr. Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.
Thank you to Ross W. Berman, the fourth from Wrestlezone.com. No thank you to Babam.
Babam knows what's up. I know what's up.
No,
Ross knows what's up.
And
you're
Facebook
unbelievable
there.
because you're just in denial. It's disgusting.
No, you know what? Vince McMahon, please. Don't hold it against me that this Boston bad boy
Vince McMahon,
he has an axe to grind with you.
Don't sue me, Vince McMahon.
Terrible.
I love you so much.
I don't believe anything
you're
this guy
unbelievable,
says.
and I'm out of here.
You're great,
you're ridiculous.